Alright guys, as promised by Spellbomb here, I'm going to have my Garruk Oathbreaker list posted for you guys. We got Garruk here, creepy guy himself. His abilities are as read. Let's see. Destroy target planeswalker for a +1 ability. Make a 3/3 death touching beastie. -3 is destroy target creature and gain life equal to its toughness, and then -8 gives us his emblem here, which is you give it to a player, and whenever a creature attacks that player, they get +5/+5 and trample, which is disgusting. Package here, we got our Paradise Druid with hexproof as long as it's not tapped. I can tap for 1 mana of any color. Our Deathcap Cultivator, which taps for 1 of either of our colors, and with Delirium, he will get Death Touch, which isn't difficult to get in this deck. We got Azusa, who lets me play additional 2 lands a turn. Our Death Touch Lifelink Leyline Prowler here, which adds 1 mana of any color to our mana pool. Our Caryatid over here, which taps for 1, and if I control a creature with power 4 or more, which is also not hard in this deck, he taps for 2. Then we got our spells. I debated whether or not to put this in the kill spell list, but it does give me land, so I put it in that one instead. And then destroy target creature with Death Sprout, and then search your library for a basic land, put into play tapped. Cultivate it gives me 2 lands, but 1 goes into my hand, and the other in the play tapped. We got Growing Rites of Itlimoc here. When it comes to play, I look at the top 4 cards. Yes, top 4 cards you may reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of the library. And if I have 4 or more creatures, I transform it. So I get it out of its sleeve. And then we got Itlimoc Cradle of the Sun, which will tap for a metric fuckton of mana. Or just 1 green. We have Overgrowth, which we're going to put on Swamp or one of my other not so impressive lands to make it tap for 2 green if I need to. And then we have Blighted Woodlands, which will end up tapping for colorless, and I can pay for 1 of which being green and sacrifice it to search for 2 basics. Now we just got our value bits here. Scavenging Ooze, things are going to die regardless, so he's going to nom on those things and get big. Hex Parasite helps me deal with planeswalkers in the early game, and then I just, sacrifice them for value later on. Got Chevelle here, Bane of Monsters with Death Touch. Puts bounty counters on creatures or planeswalkers, and when they die, I get to draw a card and gain 3 life. Mr. Savvy Hunter here creates food tokens whenever attacks or blocks, and I can sacrifice them to draw a card. So more card draw. Catacomb Sifter comes into play with his buddy, the Eldrazi Scion, and whenever a creature I control dies, I get to scry 1. Quest of Renewal, I've got a lot of mana dorks, and I'm going to be attacking a lot with bigger creatures, so having them untapped to make decent defense, always a plus. Baneful Omen, it's an alternative win condition here, and just revealing massive planeswalkers and big boy spells, and dealing damage that way, which is always fun. Grave Pact, whenever my creatures die, everybody else has to get rid of things. This makes them so they don't want to blow up my stuff as bad. And Underworld Dreams, just to make it so my opponents don't like drawing things, because they dealt damage. More value, but more of protection and destruction. We got Murderous Rider and Ruinous Path, both able to destroy creatures and planeswalkers. This one ends up being a creature later on, that goes to the bottom of my library if it dies, and this one I can pay a lot more mana later on in the game, and make one of my lands a big old boy. Then we got our 2 major buff spells. Overwhelming Stampede, which makes all my other creatures get trample, and the highest power, they get +X equal to that. This I have to kick it a few times, but it also makes them rather big boys. Then one of the more hated spells in the deck, Casualties of War here. Choose 1 or more, blow up target planeswalker, artifact, enchantment, land. Really clear out whatever's causing me problems when I can't cast my signature spell. The 1 and only tutor in the deck, mostly in there when I need to search for things that I just don't have in my hand at the moment. And then if I have Spell Mastery, it gets I get to add 3 black mana. I know my colors. We got Deadly Allure, giving my creature's death touch until end of turn, and have to be blocked this turn, flashing it back for a green. Some protection and blossoming defense. At instant speed, I can just basically say, no, he doesn't die, and it's really funny. Heroic Intervention's the better version of that in the deck. They all get hexproof, and that's all my permanents. Golgari Charm for some value. I can give things -1/-1 counters, regenerate all my creatures, which is mostly what I use it for. I'm not even sure if I remember what the other two are. Oh, destroy target enchantment, and... oh, there's only the 3 on this one. So yeah, boys that Garruk be bringing. We got Protein Hydra here. He's good early game, better off later game, but he basically doubles his counters when they get removed from combat. So it just becomes really frackin' big. We got Thrun. He's a 4/4 for 4. Can't be countered, can't be targeted by spells. And Regeneration. He's just kind of fun. We got Hydra Broodmaster with Monstrosity of XX and green, and then it brings its own boys in the form of XX Hydras. Got Obnixilis here. My buddy Spellbomb sent that to me, and he's just mean. He's got Flying Trample. He's a 4/4, and what is the last spell? Whenever another creature dies or is put in, and he's put into a graveyard, he gets a +1/+1 counter on him. And then whenever somebody goes searching through their library, they take 10 damage. We got my other 2 Garruks in the deck. Garruk Relentless, he makes wolves, and then when he has less than 2 counters, he flips over to his other side, which makes black wolves with that touch. I can sacrifice a creature and search for a creature, and creature I control get +X/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in my graveyard. So if I don't recur all my stuff fast enough, I can make them big with this Garruk. Then we got Cursed Huntsman, who also makes wolves, but these wolves make my other Garruks get loyalty counters when they die. I can blow up a creature and then just the special land portion of the deck. I'm going to start with the lands first. We got Overgrown Tomb. I happen to have one, so I put it in here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in here, because yeah. We got Blighted Woodlands, which I mentioned earlier. Cabal Stronghold. I could tap it for a colorless, or I could tap 3 and tap it, and add a black for each swamp I control, which is ramp in and of itself. We got the Value Land of Grim Backwoods. Add colorless, or I could tap 4 and sacrifice a creature to draw a card. The Odd Duck of the bunch, which is the Interplanar Beacon. Whenever I cast a Planeswalker spell, I gain a life. I can tap it to add a colorless, or I could pay 1 and tap, or is it 2? It's 1. My eyesight's bad, guys. And add 2 mana of different colors. Spend this mana only to cast Planeswalker spells, which will help me get to my Oathbreaker and the other 2 walkers in the deck. Seasons Past helps me get things I need out of my graveyard back, as long as they're different mana cost. Back for more, bring back things like Obnixilis, Hydra Broodmaster, and just make them fight tinier things. Mrs. Marion of the Clan Neltoth here gets experience for me, and then I just bring things back either to my hand, or if I have more experience counters than their converted mana cost, then they come to the field. And Storev kind of does the same thing. Whenever he deals combat damage, I get to bring something that wasn't put during combat this turn back into my hand, I believe. And our 8 to round out our land. And that's it for the deck. Spellbomb's the one that gave me the idea to start this, so if anything, don't be mad at me or him, because this is what I've been wanting to do with the channel for a while. And I'll have his channel linked in the description below.